is a proud corporate partner of Texas Tech Athletics. There's nothing like it. The excitement of Texas Tech men's basketball. This is KMAC Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off.
Good morning and welcome into Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off. David Collier alongside Eric Kelly this morning as always as we get you ready for Texas Tech's game Monday against TCU. It's the makeup game for a game that was postponed back in January, and we're previewing that game because today's game with Baylor also postponed.
Hey, way to bury the lead. Listen, hey, if you can't play a weekend game, might as well play as many games as you can. This is really the start of a quick stretch for Chris Beard and Texas Tech. If you want to get ready for the NCAA tournament in terms of playing a bunch of games in a bunch of days, this is kind of that time.
This is a week for you. All right, coming up in the next half hour, Chris Beard hearing from the Big 12 this week. We'll hear from the head coach and get his thoughts on his ejection in Tuesday night's game.
Also ahead, coach discusses the rarity of playing the same opponent in back-to-back games.
And later, it's another edition of Crashing the Boards, our unique way of breaking down today's or Monday's matchup between the Red Raiders and the Horned Frogs.
I like the one you had in the prompt better, the Street Dogs and the Frogs. You have to publicize that. Okay, so you talked about this being a makeup for an earlier scheduled game. Funny you say that, and you had mentioned it already because speaking of those postponed games, the Red Raiders will miss out on that chance for a top 10 matchup today. The game against Baylor that was supposed to take place on this Saturday, postponed due to COVID-19 issues within the Bears program. Texas Tech was looking, of course, to avenge last month's 68-60 loss in Lubbock. Now Red Raiders in the middle of about a week off game-wise following Tuesday's contest against West Virginia. But having done this before, in terms of getting a week off, the time off is something that this team is certainly prepared for.
That's why we try to put our guys in situations, you know, preseason practice. Sometimes we'll go back-to-back. We'll practice at 11 a.m. Why? You might have an NCAA tournament game at 11 a.m. We try to put our guys in different experiences so we can draw on those later on. And I think this year is no different with the COVID. I mean, we're all in a unique situations, whether it be an extended amount of time off, whether it be a couple games in a couple days. So when those moments happen, reminding them, hey, we've been here before. This is the plan. You know, let's try to execute the plan.
Not much more positivity coming out of that West Virginia game. Red Raiders fall to the Mountaineers for the second time this season, sunk by 26 points from that guy, Sean McNeil. And it's another rough defensive effort, allowing WVU to shoot almost 50% from the field, and even better, right on 50% from beyond the arc. All that adding up to a season sweep this time to drop Tech to 14-6 on the season.
You got to be aggressive. That goes without saying. Tonight, I thought both teams wanted to win. Both teams were trying to play aggressive. Just too many timely mistakes, not only at the end of the game, but in the first half where we had some opportunities to maybe have a halftime lead. Untimely, costly mistakes throughout the game. A lot of basketball left, and we'll get back to the drawing board. But, you know, just ran out of time tonight against a really good team, and congratulate those guys, our guys. We just got to play better.
Yeah, there's something about West Virginia. Earlier this year, Lady Raider head coach Krista Gerlich was teed up against the Mountaineers. Chris Beard going a step further on Tuesday. Coach had enough when the Red Raiders were called for a foul while West Virginia player was trying to call a timeout. So he decides to reenact the play for the refs just in case they weren't watching. And they decided to show him.
I didn't break an ankle.
I know, right? He's had issues before. What, he hurt his ACL? His finger's still bandaged up, I think. Whatever happened there.
He's too fragile to be doing that.
Either way, he got ejected from this ball game. And then on Thursday, the Big 12 publicly reprimanding Beard, who had this to say about the ejection following the game against the Mountaineers, who attempted 39 free throws to Texas Tech's 20. Keep in mind, this is a Red Raider team that tries to get to the line second in the nation in free throw attempts a game.
No, there was no message there. I just thought that, you know, sometimes from a coaching standpoint, you got to, you know, fight for your players. From my point of view, the West Virginia player was calling for a timeout on the floor. I could see it and hear it where I was standing. That call sent a 90% free throw shooter to the line, and it's going to separate the game to a 3-possession game. So you guys know me. I've been in this league 5 years. I don't think I've ever gotten a technical. At Little Rock, I think we got one. That's not my deal. But just in college basketball, sometimes you got to fight for your players. And that was my decision tonight to do that.
All right, time to fill in the blank with everythinglubbock.com's Phil Mayer taking a break from writing at this very moment to join us. All right, Phil, just 5 conference games left for the Red Raiders in the regular season. To this point, late in the conference season, what has Texas Tech's biggest problem been in Big 12 play?
3-point defense. And in Big 12 play, opponents are shooting 41.3% from beyond the arc against Texas Tech. In my professional opinion, that is not good. And they've been even more scorching recently. In 4 of the past 7 games, Texas Tech's opponent has been 45% from 3 or better. To put that in perspective, Texas Tech has only done that twice all year. And the good news is these opponents are bound for some regression. We saw Sean McNeil making some really tough shots against the Red Raiders, and shot making has certainly played a factor in that lofty percentage, but Texas Tech's 3-point defense has to be better, and they're playing a couple of guys who can take advantage of that in R.J. Nembhard and Mike Miles.
Dr. Phil Mayer. See him if your symptoms are giving up dunks, giving up layups, and giving up wide-open three-pointers.
All right, we appreciate it, Phil. Time for our first break here. On Countdown to Tip-Off, coming up, Texas Tech's defense set to face the league's second-best rebounder in Kevin Samuel. We'll have more on him coming up.
Yeah, and later, I try to rid myself of the bow tie for just the 3rd time this season. Hey, do you believe in miracles?